මෙවර ශිෂ්‍යත්ව විභාගයට මුහුණ දෙන පුංචි ඔයාලට අපෙන් අත්වැලක් ගම්මැද්ද තක්සලාව සතියේ දිනවල උදේ 9 සිට 10 දක්වා TV1 එකකින් පාඩම් කියා දෙනවා. TV1 නරඹන්න ගම්මැද්ද තක්සලාව.
Hello there, very good evening. This is the weekend edition of Primetime News on TV1. On behalf of the News First, the voice of the people, I'm Martin Satyanesan. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for this evening.
AstraZeneca vaccines donated from Japan brought to the island. Interprovincial train and bus services to resume from tomorrow. Protests against the KDU Bill continue. University lecturers and representatives of the Frontline Socialist Party meet to discuss the bill. Opposition leader visits Mattala to inquire into the possible removal of a number of villagers from the area.
Your top story this evening. A stock of AstraZeneca vaccines donated from Japan under the COVAX facility was brought to the island this morning. A total of 728,460 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine was unloaded at the Bandar Naika International Airport. The stock of AstraZeneca vaccines was brought to Sri Lanka by the Sri Lankan Airlines flight UL 455.
Japan donated this batch of COVID-19 vaccines to Sri Lanka in response to a diplomatic request made by Sri Lanka.
This was a donation made from the Japanese government to Sri Lanka. Next Saturday, Sri Lanka will receive about another 730,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine. I would like to add that all of these AstraZeneca vaccines were manufactured in Japan.
About 600,000 people in Sri Lanka who received the first dose of the Covishield AstraZeneca vaccine were not able to receive the second dose of the vaccine after the Serum Institute in India that manufactures the vaccine halted all exports. Plans have been made to administer the doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine that Sri Lanka received today to those who have not yet received the second jab of the vaccine. Meanwhile, the second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine will be administered from 7 a.m. tomorrow at over 20 locations, including the Vihara Mahadevi Park, Narahimpeta Army Hospital, the Medical Regiment of the Army in Verahara, and the Panagoda Bodhiraja Ramaya. The public can also receive the second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine at the Kirillavela Mahavidyalaya in the Gampaha district, the Dharmaloka Vidyalaya in Kalaniya, and Maristala College in Negombo. The Director General of Health Services released the details for all those who obtained the first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine to obtain the second dose. For more details on locations where the second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine will be administered, log on to our award-winning website www.newsfirst.lk. Meanwhile, over 500,000 people were vaccinated in the island for a second consecutive day yesterday. State Minister Professor Channa Jayasumana said that 513,820 people were vaccinated yesterday.
The National Operations Center for Prevention of COVID-19 outbreaks said, as of today, no Gramanilladari division is under isolation.
Vadamarachi Gramanilladari division in the Point Pedro police jurisdiction in Jaffna has been released from isolation. Accordingly, the isolation status on all Gramanilladari divisions in the country has been lifted.
State Minister Dilum Amunagama says the operation of interprovincial train and bus services will recommence from tomorrow.
We have been approved to resume interprovincial bus operations from tomorrow. We hope to implement the scheduled operations pertaining to bus and train travels in the morning and night during work hours from tomorrow.
සහ ආපහු යන වෙලාවල් වල දුම්රිය සහ බස් රථ සාමාන්‍ය කාලසටහන අපි ධාවනය කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
The State Minister reiterated the importance of transport service staff being vaccinated.
මේ රියදුරු කොන්දොස්තර මහත්තුරු එන්නත ලබාගත් අය.
It is important that drivers and conductors be vaccinated. With the new COVID variant, conductors are at risk since they handle currency when issuing tickets. The possibility of the virus spreading will not reduce with the recommencement of transport operations. In recent times, we saw an increase in the spread of the virus. We would like to inform the public that there is a risk of using public transport. The public must always abide by the health guidelines while using public transport. It is prohibited to have passengers more than the number of seats available.
Meanwhile, a circular to call on public sector employees to work as usual from Monday was issued by the Ministry of Provincial Councils and Local Government. The ministry said that the circular issued under the instruction of the Presidential Secretariat cites that priority must be given to maintaining normal government operations without any hindrance, since a majority of public sector employees have been vaccinated under the inoculation program. Accordingly, all public sector employees must report to work while adhering to health guidelines from Monday as usual.
තව තවත් දුරට ආසාදනයෙන් පටන් ගත්තොත් මම හිතනවා ඉදිරියේ රෝහල
I believe that if the number of infections increase in the future, hospitals will have to be closed. I urge the government to organize the process of granting leave for state sector employees, including nurses. Most of the nurses are expectant mothers. They are finding it difficult to perform their duties. Considering the growing number of cases, we request the government to amend the circular pertaining to leave.
රෝගී සංඛ්‍යාව පිළිබඳව සැලකිල්ලට අරගෙන මේ නිවාඩු චක්‍ර ලේඛයට සම්පෝධනය කරන්න කියලා අපි ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා.
The Director General of Health Services said 61 COVID-19 deaths have been confirmed for Friday, the 30th of July 2021. Army Commander and Head of the National Operations Center for Prevention of COVID-19 Outbreak, General Shavendra Silva said 2,150 COVID-19 cases were reported thus far for today, the 31st of July. The total number of COVID-19 cases now stands at 308,812.
Based on the statistics uploaded to Nexttrain by the Department of Immunology and Molecular Medicine at the University of Sri Jabadanapura, the Delta variant of the coronavirus has been detected in many districts of Sri Lanka. Accordingly, the Delta strain has so far been detected from the Colombo, Matara, Galle, Kalutara, Gampaha, Matale, Vaunia, Trincomalee, Mullaitivu, Kilinochchi and Jaffna districts. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has requested countries across the world to take steps to curb the spread of COVID-19 before more deadly variants of the virus begin to emerge. The World Health Organization warned the world is at risk of losing hard-won gains in fighting COVID-19 as the highly transmissible Delta variant spreads. The WHO points out that the Delta variant that was first identified in India has now been detected in 132 countries across the world.
The book titled COVID-19 Impact, Mitigation, Opportunities and Building Resilience was launched by the National Science Foundation of Sri Lanka on the 30th of July. Speaking during the virtual event, virologist Professor Malik Piris at the University of Hong Kong said that Sri Lanka will experience the worst COVID-19 outbreak in the months ahead. Professor Malik Piris is a clinical and public health virologist with a particular interest in emerging virus diseases at the animal-human interface, including influenza, coronaviruses and others. In 2003, Professor Piris played a key role in the discovery that a novel coronavirus was the cause of SARS, its diagnosis and pathogenesis.
Although there was an initial decline globally and also in the Southeast Asian region, there has been a resurgence of cases globally, including in the South Asian region. And this is primarily due to the new variant, which is the Delta variant. And this, of course, played havoc in India. And I'm afraid I have to say that it is going to have a major impact on Sri Lanka in the coming weeks. As a public health professional, I would be remiss in my duty if I do not warn that Sri Lanka is going to face the worst COVID outbreak that it has faced in the months ahead. All congratulations to the government and Professor Jayasumana for pushing forward the vaccination campaign, which is going very well. However, as you know, you need 2 doses of vaccine to have a significant impact. And in the next 1 or 2 months, that is not going to protect us from the impact of the Delta variant. So I hope the population is well advised of that.
Meanwhile, views were expressed about the COVID-19 situation in the country and the decision taken by the government at several places across the country today.
මේ ආණ්ඩුව මුල ඉඳලම ගත්ත වැරදි තීන්දුව තමයි රට මේ තත්ත්වයට පත් වුනේ.
We are facing a crisis at present because of the wrong decisions taken by this government. The Director General of Public Health Services appears on television and tells the public to do this and that. As it seems, the government is not adhering to the health regulations issued by the health authorities. The government is on its political journey. That is what Donald Trump did. He wanted to take the country forward, disregarding the massive number of deaths in the US. We suspect whether our government is also carrying out the policies of Donald Trump. You cannot enter the temple trees without doing an antigen test. You are taken inside the Prime Minister's office after doing an antigen test. They are on the safe side, comfortably warming their seats in their air-conditioned rooms. The government is making decisions that would save them, but risking the general public of the country.
වැක්සින් වල අඩුවක් දැනට නැත. මුළු ලංකාවටම ෆස්ට් ඩෝස් එක දෙන්න මේ වෙනකොට වැක්සින් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා.
There is no shortage of vaccines at present. We have received ample doses of vaccines to administer the first dose to the entire nation. The President told us that the country must gear up for the 3rd dose. Anything else people say is said to gain political mileage. There must be a clear demarcation between the health situation and the politics in the country. In the future, we must take steps not to allow people to enter public places without receiving both doses of the vaccine. If the vaccine is the only known solution to this issue, and if the government have provided the people with that facility and still the people are not keen on getting vaccinated, we have to take more pressing steps. They say that 85% of teachers have not received the vaccine. We will vaccinate teachers in the education sector who are aged between 18 and 30. We have the capability to vaccinate you with the appropriate vaccine if you are willing to migrate to another country.
ඒකටත් අපි ගහන්න සූදානම්. හදිස්සිය රට යන්න නම් ඒ රටට අවශ්‍ය කරන එන්නත දෙන්නත් අපිට හැකියාවක් තියෙනවා.
It was only after the vaccines were approved and after 60% of the global population was vaccinated that Sri Lanka took steps to import the vaccines to the country. Even though they were deceiving the people, they failed to deceive the virus. The health minister threw pots from a bridge and endorsed the herbal tonic. The question is not the numbers when it comes to the vaccination drive in the country. The question is, why didn't they bring down vaccines much earlier? They could have ordered the vaccines earlier on without taking money into consideration. If they had done that, we would have saved this country from this economic crisis. The government has shut the stable after the horse has bolted. They are merely sacrificing the lives of the people to come out of this prevailing economic crisis.
උගසට ගන්න කියන එක අපි කියනවා මේ රටේ ආර්ථිකයේ වෙනුවෙන් බිල්ලට දෙන්නේ ලන්සුව තියන්නේ මිනිස් ජීවිත වලින් කියන එක තමයි අපිට මේ වෙලාවේ කියන්න තියෙන්නේ.
Meanwhile, Brisbane, Australia entered a snap lockdown today as authorities raced to contain an emerging by INSACOG, a grouping of 28 laboratories involving in the task. In a written response to a question in the Lok Sabha, he said, so far 58,240 samples of SARS-CoV-2 have been sequenced in the country, and of these, 46,124 were analysed.
A protest opposing the proposed Kothalawala Defence University Bill was held today.
The protest organised by the United Front against the Kothalawala Defence University Bill demanded that the bill be withdrawn.
Don't lay hands on free education. Today there is a broad movement. They speak about free education at workplaces. School teachers, university lecturers and university students have united. We will provide leadership to this movement, fighting to abolish the KDU Bill. Free education is for the general public of this country. We would like to question the government as to whether their national framework of vistas of prosperity and splendor includes the destruction, suppression and militarization of free education. We invite every parent and civilian who was educated by free education to join us in our struggle. Standing in Kegol, we would like to invite every faction to join our efforts against this bill, which will be brought to Parliament on the 6th of August.
Meanwhile, a group of university lecturers met with representatives of the Frontline Socialist Party today for a discussion regarding the KDU Bill. There are two possibilities in this. The first is the attempt to establish a separate entity with the same powers as the University Grants Commission that will allow privatization of education and opening of private degree awarding institutions across the country. The best example for this is that the government has only allocated 21 billion rupees for the entire education sector, including 10,500 schools and universities. However, 36 billion rupees has been allocated for the capital expenditures of the Kotalawala Defence University alone. The money allocated will be used to establish a network of private universities. As university lecturers, we would like to say that you have no moral right to militarize education. If you are taking steps to interfere with free education and allow for privatization of education with state sponsorship, we would like to warn you that this course of action is not a one that is accepted by the wise public of this country.
The University Grants Commission itself has proposed that it is important to update all education-related acts. For an example, an act formulated 50 years ago. I can give you more examples, but these acts should be updated for the betterment of the country. However, it is wrong to update these acts based on political agendas. If anyone attempts to stop an act that is done for the betterment of the country, we have to view them as those with a very different mentality.
Against a backdrop where the discussion on the Kotalawala Defence University Bill is still ongoing, teachers and principals continue to voice their demands for a solution to their salary anomalies. Politburo member of the JVP KD Lalkanta said that political affiliations should be kept aside and the struggle of teachers and principals must be supported. He also made a revelation regarding the threats faced by Secretary of the Ceylon Teachers Service Union, Mahinda Jayasinghe.
All trade unions have left their differences aside and joined this struggle. This has become a struggle of teachers and principals. This is not a political struggle, but a struggle to win over their rights. What comes next is an issue of freedom. Mahinda Jayasinghe is getting calls from overseas where people make death threats against him. They will all try to use intimidation and thuggery until the people in this country fight for their rights. The struggle of the teachers and principals in this country has given a good message. There has not been a similar struggle in Sri Lanka in the recent past. Now people will continue to pour in. However, these people must be advised to follow all COVID-19 health guidelines. The struggle must continue while they adhere to COVID-19 regulations.
A number of religious services were held in memory of late Mr. R. Raja Mahendran, the chairman of Capital Maharaja Group. The main Dhamma sermon was delivered at the head office of MTV MBC Private Limited in Colombo. The sermon was delivered by Venerable Rajagiriye Arinyana Thero.
Gacchami Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami.
Several memorial services in honor of late Mr. R. Raja Mahendran, the chairman of the Capital Maharaja Group, who passed away on Sunday, were held across the country as well as in Japan. One such special memorial service to invoke blessings on behalf of late Mr. R. Raja Mahindran was held at the Lanka temple in Japan under the patronage of Venerable Banagala Upatissa Thera, the chairman of the Mahabodhi Society of Sri Lanka and the chief Sanghanayaka of Japan. Ambassador of Sri Lanka to Japan, Sanjeev Gunasekara, also attended the memorial service. He always spoke on behalf of the helpless people. He was the person who donated the main statue of Lord Buddha that is placed at this temple. Not only that, he had also donated a number of statues of Lord Buddha to temples across the world.
Very happy to join in this 7-day almsgiving of a person who touched many lives. Irrespective of religion, creed or color, he helped. He was a visionary businessman. He will be missed, and after somebody passes away, the most we can do is do good in their name and transfer merit. So I'm happy to be here at the Lankaji temple with the head priest to pass a merit to him.
Another memorial service to invoke blessings on late Mr. R. Raja Mahindran was held opposite the community water project at Arunodaya Gama in Sigirimulla Dambulla, which was vested with the people as a project conducted under the first phase of the Gammadda initiative. The memorial service was organized by the members of the Sigirimulla Gammadda Savior organization.
R. Raja Mahindran Srimatanam.
While R. Raja Mahindran was a Hindu devotee, his service to the entire nation was invaluable. Although he did not take credit for what he did or sought fame for it, he looked into the issues of the people in villages and helped them when they were helpless. There are people who invoke blessings on him so that he may reach enlightenment. We must all do that. It is certain that he will attain the bliss of Nibbana. But I also would like to wish for him to be born again in this world so that he can serve this world again.
මේ රටට ජාතියට සේවයක් කරන්නට නැවතත් ලැබේවායි කියන අදහසින් මම ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනු ලබනවා.
Religious observances invoking blessings upon late Mr. R. Raja Mahindran was held at the Andaravava Dharmadutta Ashramaya in Hambantota. The religious service was organized by the Vallava Vam-Ura United Farmers Organization. Meanwhile, the religious service was also held at the Bodhimalu Viharaya in Ambilipitia. Blessings were invoked on late Mr. R. Raja Mahindran at the service. The religious service was organized by the Gangayaya Dhatuneyala Farmers Organization, who benefited from the Gammadda projects in the past, and the residents of Kolonna in Gangemada. A religious service was also held along the bridge leading to the Pilekumbura village that was constructed in 2016. The residents of Pilekumbura, an area under the purview of the Maddekanda Gramanadari division and the Balanguda divisional secretariat, had organized the service. Blessings were also invoked on late Mr. R. Raja Mahindran at the Karuvalangasveva, Mahakarambeva, Sri Mahindarama Viharaya. The religious service was organized by the 157 Mahakarambeva Gammadda Savior organization. Meanwhile, a number of other religious services were also held today in memory of late Mr. R. Raja Mahindran. A special puja was held at the Pattini Kovil in the Andurupola estate in Bulatkohupitia. The Gammadda initiative had assisted in the renovation of this Kovil. A memorial for late Mr. R. Raja Mahindran was also held at the mosque in Kinya, Trincomalee. When the people of this country faced many adversities, he stood for them and helped them. The demise of Mr. R. Raja Mahendran, who performed such a yeoman service to the nation, is a great loss to the country. He is a leader who won the hearts of all communities in the country. We would like to express our condolences to his relatives and loved ones. A memorial service was held at the Guru Kumbura temple in Dambana to invoke blessings on late Mr. R. Raja Mahendran, the founder of Gammadda. The service was organized by the leader of the indigenous community of Dambana, Uruvalige Vannilatto. It was under the guidance of the chairman that the Gammadda program went from village to village and looked into the issues of the people that wasn't noticed by other leaders. The demise of a person like that is a massive loss to the entire society. The loss of such a great person will be felt by everyone in this country.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa visited Mattala to inquire into possible removal of a number of villagers from the area.
Area residents allege that there is an attempt made to remove 5 villagers of the Pahala Mattala area close to the Mattala airport. There is a serious economic crisis in the country at present. Foreign reserves have reduced drastically. Today, the lands of our nation are being sold to other countries. They are gambling with these lands. The 5 villages I built are also included in that gamble. To whom are they planning on giving these lands to after evicting all of you? The lands will be given to their local and foreign associates and companies who are already in possession of 50 to 100 acres of such lands. Upon my request, 3 lawyers from my legal team have come here to provide protection to you. We will not allow anyone to lay claim to these lands.
Up next is Crime Watch.
A woman in Kahatagasdiglia was murdered after she was attacked with a sharp object. According to the police, the victim's husband had committed the murder over a personal dispute. The husband had taken his own life after the murder. Another woman who was with the victim at the time of the murder had sustained injuries and was admitted to the hospital. The deceased victim was a mother of 2.
Let's now take a look at your international news in brief.
Fighting is raging around 3 major cities in southern and western Afghanistan as Taliban militants seek to seize them from government forces. Taliban fighters have entered parts of Herat, Lashkar Gah and Kandahar. They have made rapid gains in rural areas since it was announced almost all foreign troops would go by September. Israel has accused Iran of being behind an attack on an oil tanker in which 2 crew members, a British national and a Romanian citizen, were killed. The MV Mercer Street, operated by the London-based company Zodiac Maritime, was off Oman's coast in the Arabian Sea when the incident occurred on Thursday. The United Nations and other officials say heavy monsoon rains triggered landslides and flash floods in refugee camps, displacing thousands of Rohingya Muslims in the southern East Bangladesh this week, with further heavy rainfall expected. At least 6 Rohingya, including 3 children, died in landslides and flooding, while 15 Bangladeshi nationals were killed and more than 200,000 stranded by flooding in Cox's Bazar.
Olympic champion and Jamaican speed star Elaine Thompson became the 2nd fastest woman of all time today after winning the women's 100-meter final at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, with establishing a new Olympic record. That we bring to a close this edition of Primetime News on TV1. For details of these stories and much more, simply log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk. For the News First, the voice of the people, I'm Martin Satyanesan, along with sign language interpreter Taraka Gabriel. You take care and good night.